And you know who I'm talking about. So don't try to dodge, don't try to duck. You pull up on the live stream. You know who I'm talking about. All of you people who are lying about this case should be ashamed of yourself. Let me debunk a few lies that are circulating out there already. And I dare and challenge any one of y'all who are consistently lying to get on this live stream and tell me and prove me wrong. You know who I'm talking about. Before we get back to the show, I want to tell you guys about Shenergy. If you're tired of energy drinks that spike you up, make you jittery, and then crash you later, Shenergy is built differently. Shenergy Day gives you clean, steady energy and focus with natural caffeine from green tea. Shenergy Night helps you wind down so that you can rest, you can wake up clean, not groggy. It's a simple day and night system made with natural ingredients, no sugar spikes, and no synthetic stimulant overload. Go to ShenergyLife.com and try it for yourself. Better energy, better rest, better rhythm. Let's start with the first lie that people are telling right now, that there's no footage of the shooting from the roof. Let's be very clear about this, because some people are playing semantics to fit their own side. It was established through almost 40 hours of testimony that Tyler Robinson was the person seen in the footage climbing onto the roof through the staircase, getting onto the roof, and taking a shot at Charlie Kirk. What we see in the video is essentially no different than the video that's presented to the public, except for it's zoomed and they do circles around Tyler Robinson so you can see exactly where he's at on the footage. In the footage, you see him come to campus. You see him leave campus in his vehicle. You see him walk back up to campus with a limp in his leg, with a gun in his pant leg. Then you see him climb on top of the roof. Then the view change from the rooftop. They zoom in. You see him do it. You see him climb over the railing. You see him walk up to the edge. You see him lay down in a prone position. The time is consistent with the time that we previously watched in the trial where Charlie was shot the exact same time. He fires the shot. He gets up. He runs. He jumps off the roof. Not only do we see this on film, he admitted to doing it. He turned himself in. His mom and dad identified him, and Lance Twiggs identified him. What are we talking about? There's another lie, and I think my wife can inform me on it. What was the other lie? That Lance Twiggs wasn't even interviewed.
He wasn't interviewed by the police.
He wasn't interviewed by the police. They didn't take it seriously. They interviewed Lance Twiggs twice. They played the recording to the world of one of the interviews that they had with Lance Twiggs, which was probably the interview on April the 20th, because it was with the prosecution. He was interviewed twice. Tyler Robinson's parents were interviewed. Tyler Robinson was interviewed. They identified him. The person who interviewed him was testifying in the court of law, or at least the person who knew who interviewed him testified. That person was on the interview, I believe, with the mom. And they all talked about the interviews that they had with both the mom, the dad, and Tyler. What are we talking about? People that are going out and saying there's no footage of the shooting, they're playing semantics. Do you see his finger on the trigger? No. Do you see his face? You can't see his face. He had a hat on. And the angle is from another angle, but they set it up with the evidence that they presented. You can clearly see him exit his car, come up on campus, come back on campus, walk up the staircase. And let me say this, because I think people are just, I don't know what people are thinking. Most of y'all are smart. So I'm talking about these people that are weird. Tyler Robinson turned himself in. I do not understand. Let me give you a scenario, and maybe it'll sink into people's heads a little bit. If somebody at the University of Arizona, where I went to school and proudly got my degree, I live about 2 hours from the University of Arizona. If somebody was on the University of Arizona campus, did an assassination, and they're walking up and down the stairs, they got a hat on, they got glasses on, and the police officers have not identified this person. They just said, hey, this is a suspect of interest. Please contact the FBI, contact police if you know who this is. And then I turn myself in with my wife and my mama. I go to turn myself in. Do you think I did the crime or not? Why would I turn myself in if I wasn't on campus? I had nothing to do with this. Why would I subject myself to life in prison in one of the biggest and most prominent assassination attempts or assassinations ever in the history of the country. Why would I just turn myself in and I didn't do nothing?
Because you're a patsy.
And people keep saying, you know, the whole patsy thing. He's a patsy to who? Who is a patsy to who? What patsy is going to drive 2 hours, or at least he lived 2 hours away, and turn himself in? And then not only did he turn himself in, he texted his lover, I did it, I'm sorry.
Along.
Okay. And Tyler says, I'm still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you. And then Lance replies, you weren't the one who did it, right? And Tyler says, I am, I'm sorry. Lance says, I thought they caught the person. And then Tyler says, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude and interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from the drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering.
We could scroll down to page 3. Continue reading.
Lance says, why? And Tyler says, why did I do it? And Lance says, yeah. Tyler says, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything in the news about them finding it. We'll update you shortly, or sorry, we'll update you by midnight. And then Lance says, all right, stay safe. How long have you been planning this?
Scroll down a little bit, please, Kimberly.
And Tyler replies, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it.
We can scroll down to page 4 and continue reading about halfway down. I'll stop you about halfway down.
This is while they were a spot, but I don't want to chance it while they were parked there. If they had found it, I imagine there would be more commotion. Again, I'm sorry for roping you into all of this. You shouldn't have to worry about this. And Lance replies, does anyone else know? Tyler says, not to my knowledge.
All right, I'll stop you there.
I'm either dead or I'm spending the rest of my life in prison. Who says that to somebody if they didn't do the crime?
Did he also write a letter?
He wrote a letter. And here's another rumor that's a complete lie, is that they only took screenshots of Lance Tweak's phone. No, they didn't. They forensically investigated his phone. They pulled the data from his phone. That's how they found the letter, because he took a picture of the letter in his phone, and then Tyler Robinson, I believe, burned the letter. And so when they got to his house, the letter was burned to pieces. And the only reason they knew what the contents of the letter was is because they found it after they extracted the data from Lance Tweak's phone. They showed the pictures in court so you can see it, but they forensically extracted the data from his phone. And they didn't have to pursue it because Lance Twiggs gave his phone over voluntarily. Everything that I've been saying was proven in the court of law to a reasonable degree. There's nobody that is pushing this nonsense will get on here right now and debate me with any substance. Nobody. None of you guys will. I was at the trial. Let me give you another example. They say that the prosecutor said there was no footage of the shooting. Well, if you weren't in trial, you wouldn't know the full context of what he said and what he inevitably came back up to present to the judge regarding that matter. He said there was no evidence of the shooting because it was a fear that Erica Kirk and the family would be subject to watching Charlie get killed in front of the courtroom. And so what the prosecutor said to the judge, because he'd inquired, is there violence on this video? And he said there's no evidence of the shooting, which means that you don't see Charlie get shot on the video surveillance from above. The prosecutor then come back up and say, well, Your Honor, I want to make sure this is clear. The shooting is present, but Charlie, you don't see him get shot on the video. But you do see Tyler Robinson go down in a prone position and take the shot and run off. This is what the prosecutor said in front of everybody in the courtroom.
So let me give you a proffer of what the evidence will be at the preliminary hearing. There's really 4 categories of evidence. The first is surveillance from UVU. Now, UVU has a great surveillance system, and they captured the defendant coming onto campus at about 7 a.m., or I think about 8 a.m. Okay? It's clearly him. He's driving his gray Dodge Charger. I should say he's from St. George, so this isn't just a casual passing by Utah Valley University. This is a 3.5-hour drive from his home, 250 plus miles from his home. They captured his car pulling into the Utah Valley University parking structure. He gets out of the car. He's wearing his favorite Hurley hat, a maroon T-shirt, shorts, and Converse shoes, the same clothing he's wearing when he turns himself in the next day. Clearly him. There's good facial images and everything. He walks around campus and he scouts campus out. He then leaves the campus. UVU surveillance then captures him return later. He returns on foot right before the Charlie Kirk event. He's wearing a disguise of sorts. He's wearing a baseball cap, different baseball cap, pulled low. He's got sunglasses on, a different shirt, different pants, but the same Converse shoes. But he makes his way to the rooftop, makes his way to the sniper's perch on the rooftop, takes the shot, and then runs to the northeast, drops off the building and runs to the northeast of campus into a wooded area. That's all captured on video. Okay, that's the first category of evidence, is the video surveillance that shows the defendant on campus taking the shot.
What are we talking about here? And everybody that's coming up with these theories is just theories with no evidence. I'll say Candace did it. So, I'm glad nobody coming out with fake conspiracies about her doing it, but they tend to do it for Erica Kirk. Erica Kirk did it. Where's your evidence? Where's your evidence? Other than you saying, I think she did it. She must have done it. Well, where's your evidence?
She wore a black turtleneck, Brandon.
Yeah, she wore a black turtleneck that AI copied it. So she looked like she's escorting kids out of Epstein Island.
No, it's so stupid.
Just a bunch of nonsense. Where's your evidence, though? Where do you see evidence of anybody presenting something substantial that Erica Kirk had something to do with it? The defense isn't even claiming it. So now you got to say the defense is in on it. The defense isn't claiming any of these conspiracy theories.
No,
they're not pitching it. They're not. The defense didn't even argue the identification. Multiple investigators identified Tyler Robinson in the courtroom. The defense didn't even object to it. I don't know what to say. Like, it's clear.
People don't want to.
They say no face, no case. No, his parents said, that's my son. And then he turned himself in, taking responsibility for shooting Charlie Kirk. What do you mean? And then even outside of that, his DNA was on the trigger guard, the foregrip, the stock, the optic. His DNA is all over the gun. His DNA is on all of the bullets. His DNA is on the spent casing that's in the gun.
Will you just list off the areas of that firearm where there was evidentiary support for inclusion of Tyler Robinson?
The swabs of the stock and grips of rifle, the swabs of the butt plate of rifle, swabs of the trigger and trigger guard of rifle with possible ridge detail / smudging, the swabs of the bolt of the rifle with possible ridge detail / smudging, and the swabs of the forend of the rifle.
We go to page 3.
Swabs of the barrel of the rifle with possible ridge detail / smudging, the swabs of possible ridge detail / smudging on the optical accessory.
And page 4.
The swabs of the protected underside of the receiver of the rifle after disassembly. The swabs of one 30-06 cartridge case. The swabs of one 30-06 cartridge. And the swabs of one 30-06 cartridge.
I want to ask you about a couple of those conclusions. Let's look at page 5, please. And calculation number 3, exhibit 1.3, do you know where that swab was taken from?
I'd have to refer back to page 2.
Can we refer back to page 2, please, Kimberly? Thank you.
1.3 is the swabs of the trigger and trigger guard of the rifle.
All right, going back to page 5. And we've had some talk, some testimony from you and some questions for you about the likelihood ratios. What was your conclusion as to the likelihood ratio that you analyzed in this question in calculation number 3?
For this exhibit, the DNA profile was at least 1 trillion times more likely if it originated from Tyler Robinson as the major component and 3 unknown unrelated individuals than if it originated from 4 unrelated individuals.
You say at least 1 trillion times more likely. So it could be a much higher number than 1 trillion. Is that accurate?
It's possible.
But the protocols in your laboratory say you cap that at the number 1 trillion. Is that right?
Correct. We would not report a number higher than 1 trillion.
And it looks like you also did a probability statistic as well in paragraph E. Is that right?
Correct. It's another way of stating the likelihood ratio statistic.
And will you state your findings you made here in paragraph E, and that's on page 6.
The probability of an unrelated individual in the population who has not contributed DNA to the sample yielding this level of support is less than 1 in a trillion.
I think that I have to verify this, but
Yeah, I thought that's what it said.
I believe that the Dremel engraving or encryption or something like that on the actual bullet fragment that was found in his body connected to Tyler Robinson as well. But I got to verify that. I didn't hear that. But when we were kind of talking about it, a couple guys were saying that that's what they had mentioned.
What about you being paid?
He's on the screwdriver. His DNA is on a screwdriver. His DNA is on, what was the other item that they found?
The towel.
The towel. His DNA is on a towel.
So is his roommate.
So it's his roommate. What did that do? That puts the items coming from the house where Tyler Robinson lives. So you can't say that some external person that wasn't connected to the house that he lives in put the towel there, put the gun there, put the screwdriver there. They completely eliminated these things. So now, and then somebody saying I got paid.
A lot of people are saying you got paid.
Y'all, they say, where's your evidence? I spent money.
Wow.
I spent a lot of money to come out here, but I do it. I count it all joy to do it to support Erica Kirk. And I'll do it 100 times in a row. I probably spent $15,000 to come out here. At least. Of my own money. Turning Point, Erica, nobody gave me money. Nobody gave me a stipend. Nobody paid me to give me food to eat.
Paid gig in San Diego. We canceled a vacation in San Diego this week.
Oh, we
had a
did.
Paid gig.
We
at
did.
ADF in San Diego this week.
Yep.
So you lost money.
Yeah,
On top
actually.
of spending money.
technically.
So what are people talking about being paid? It's such a lie.
These people are stupid and evil. Or they just stupid. Brandon, are you sure it wasn't a body double? No, no, Bryson is joking.
Oh.
Let's see. Erica Kirk. 15,000 on what? But bro, when I travel, I got to travel with a whole security team. I got to get a hotel for a week. I got to eat for everybody. I brought my video guys. I brought security. You know, everybody had to be here.
Airbnb to film in, hotel.
I had to get, and now that I'm getting ready to leave, so I can say what I did. We had to get a whole different Airbnb just to do the film in. Then we're not staying nowhere near Provo. So I have to have a rental car that we can drive back and forth to the hearing every day because I didn't want to stay nowhere in Provo. Like $15,000 to come out here. And I turned down a speaking gig that I was going to really do double as a vacation in San Diego where the weather is nice.
And the beach.
Somebody said, would you ever sit down with Candace? 100%. If Candace is watching this, somebody send it to Candace. I would appreciate the opportunity to sit down with Candace and go over these things because I believe that the things that I say could be helpful to her statements moving forward. That's what I can say. We know who funded you. Man, I swear to God. I wish they were funding me.
Someone call. No, you got BB's number right?
Yeah, BB. Come on, BB. Run that money. I'll take that money and I'll tell y'all I took that money. Anyway.